surprises you the most, or maybe what has taken the most time or the least time to achieve among the preseason goals?
Yeah, I mean, the goal is to win games, and however we do that as a team. And I think, I think the guys have done a nice job. I think there's been spurts where we've been pretty good, and then there's been other where we want to sustain a little bit higher level of consistency. But I think our ability to run it or throw it has been very beneficial. I've been really happy with our upfront play and really our efficiency in the run game. I think we've run the ball efficiently. I think we want to continue to find ways to create explosives, whether that be through the run or the pass. But ultimately, it's about winning as a team. I think we're figuring out the best way to be able to do that and put all three phases together. And in a lot of instances, like the other night, I thought, our guys did a good job, through those 3 quarters. And then we talked about just being able to finish and sustain drives in the 4-minute, but the approach was different than it would be in a game where, it's a 1-possession game and things like that. So I think they've done a nice job overall, and there's always room for improvement for sure.
Having been able to run more this year, actually pass less, but maybe more efficiently, is that how you envisioned it going in?
That's a team thing, that's because we're playing with leads and our defense is playing so well. It's not exclusive to what the offense does. So, in a lot of these games, you're in 4-minute mode a little bit earlier than 4 minutes left in the game because you've got a lead, whether it be Washington or the other night. And, I think that's a team thing. So I think the numbers as far as, rushing stats, all that stuff can get very skewed. If you play well as a team and you're playing with a lead, you're always going to run the football a little bit more because usually you're trying to run the clock out at the end of the game. But ultimately, when you're in your kind of normal mode of operating offensively, you do want to maintain a level of balance, but not at the expense of if they're just totally teeing off on one phase or the other. So it's about moving the ball and scoring points. But I think those rushing numbers are a reflection of the team, and I think particularly our defense being able to play so well and us be able to get some leads in a handful of these games.
Sean, with you guys designating Joe Noteboom to return from IR, what do you kind of foresee happening with the offensive line and his spot and David Edwards?
It'll remain like it is right now. Well, Joe's a great player. We feel really good about him, but David's playing at a pretty high level, and we're going to keep that continuity.
Sean, with all of the protocols for COVID and everything else, and all this is kind of a weird season. Are you
kind of?
Yeah. Are you having fun? I mean, I know you're winning, but are you kind of enjoying this so far?
Yeah, I really am. I'm enjoying this team. I think I really love this coaching staff. The things that have come with this season have definitely been different, to say the least. But in terms of the personalities, what this team entails, I really enjoy working with this team. We got a lot of young players, but we've got some great veteran leadership as well. So there's a lot of things that have turned over this year, which you guys obviously know a lot about. But I think as we're getting familiar with, all right, what is the identity of this team? It's been fun. It's been exciting. And I think that's where we're kind of growing collectively and figuring out, hey, each week, what's the best way to put all 3 phases together? Who are the guys we can lean on? What is the personality of this football team that comes from our players' leadership? And I really am having fun and want to be able to have some more fun and get to our 6th win against a very tough opponent this week, Gary.
If there is a difference, what would it be when you're coaching a team this young? I mean, because you're still young in your career, but this team is younger than the previous, 3.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know if it's as much the age or just some new faces and just kind of just continuing to identify what's the best way to suit things to our players' strength, excuse me. And so I think it's really just, every single year is a new year. You're learning about yourself. You're learning about your team. But I also think, and I've talked to you guys about it before, not letting sometimes the expectations get in the way of the enjoyment. I think, we were so fortunate early on to have, some success, and then you end up, being able to win a conference. And then you can almost let the expectations get in the way of your enjoyment where, I've talked to my grandpa about this. A win is like a sigh of relief, and a loss is like you feel like a part of you's dying. And as soon as you get to that point, I don't think that's healthy. I don't think that's sustainable. And I think I'm a much better coach and probably more pleasurable to be around when I'm enjoying it. And so I think that's reflected in our team, and they're making it a lot easier for me to enjoy because of, the people most importantly.
Sean, I'm curious. So last season, your defense statistically was pretty solid. How challenging is it to take what would be considered like a good defense and truly make it great? Like, what's the difference and what's the margin there for improvement?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of these stats really skew what's real and what isn't. I think it's about playing, the best in the crunch time moments, the got to have it situations. How much are you turning the ball over? What kind of points are you giving up? You look at the game the other night, you see 10 points given up. Well, that's not true. Our defense only gave up 3 points, because one of those touchdowns was from the offense. So I genuinely believe that, the stats can give you a little bit of what's going on, but the tape is where the truth really, reveals the truth. The tape is where you can find the truth, snap in and snap out, in a lot of those things. And I could go on and on with you, Lindsay, but I think ultimately, how much are you turning the ball over in terms of, getting it back to the offense? How much are you limiting people's ability to score points? And then in those crunch time moments, talking about end of the game, 2 minute, end of the half, 2 minute, when you've got to have a stop against the Giants a couple weeks ago and Darius Williams makes a pick, when you got to have a stop against Dallas in week 1 and we end up forcing that stop, or we get a stop by, Fuller on 4th and 2. Those are the things to me that make great defenses. And I think we've had really good defenses, consistently since I've been here. But I think these guys are, playing at a really high level, and it's fun to see. And I think their confidence is growing because they know they're playing well.
Hey, guys, let's Rashad and Nick, we'll let you guys get in here real quickly.
Hey, Coach. How unique is it? Aaron talked about the defense watching some Tua tape from Alabama. How unique is that? Is that kind of specific to just how weird this season is, that you're watching college film on the guy in week 8, or is that a little normal?
Yeah, it's a good point. I think you probably at least have a little bit of preseason film to go off of. If it was a normal, season where, I would imagine they would have gotten him some of that work, even if they knew they wanted to have Fitzpatrick start the season. But this year has definitely been different. But, it is, it's kind of similar in some instances to where you're saying a couple weeks ago where you're looking at Kyle Allen from Carolina when they decided to start him. So it's similar, but you're watching Alabama film and now you're saying, okay, these are the things that this guy has as a skill set. And what are the things that, Coach Gailey might activate within the framework of their system offensively with the Dolphins from what he might have done at Alabama under Coach Sarkisian.
What's been your key traveling back east this year? I know it's different. Normally you would go a day earlier, but you've kind of been going the day before. What's been key to being able to get there and get settled and have some success back east that you've had this year?
Yeah, it's the guys' ability to handle it. I think we've been able to keep a consistent rhythm throughout the week, Rashawn. And I think there is something to be said for being able to say, all right, you get there, you have dinner, you get some rest, you get up and you go play. You're not waiting around. Sometimes that lag time is where I think you almost wear yourself out when you're just hanging around all day on you get there Friday night, you're hanging out all day Saturday, and then you kind of get up Sunday and then you go. Whereas we get in Saturday evening, quick little meal, quick little team meeting, get up and go. And I think the guys like that. It's the most efficient way of utilizing our time, and our travel has been really convenient.
Thank you.
You got it, man.
Nick.
Good afternoon, Coach. Wanted to get your thoughts on the Miami defense, especially with the secondary and the difficulties that they present, and how do you overcome those in order for you to be successful and victorious on Sunday? Yeah,
they do a great job, Nick. They've got playmakers all over. You look at their 2 corners, they're outstanding. They got safeties in Rowe and McCain that have played a lot of good football. I remember when I was coaching in Washington and Rowe was starting at corner for Philly. So, there's great athleticism, and then they're in a great system. Coach Flores is an excellent defensive coach, as is Coach Boyer. And these guys present a lot of different issues. They're mixing up their coverage contours, but then they also know what kind of athleticism they have, and they play a lot of man, and they come up and challenge you. And they do a variety of things up front to cause disruption where, the ball's coming out, but they've also got great guys that can hang in man coverage and continue to compete. So they've played really well as of late. I think that's where, we've got to be ready to go. But this is, you flip the film on and a lot of problems. You see a really disruptive defense and one that's played outstanding, especially each of the last couple weeks against the Jets and Niners coming off a bye.
Thanks, Coach.
We'll wrap it up with Eric.
Sean, how concerned are you about RPOs with Tua, based on what he did at Alabama?
Well, it's something that you definitely have to be prepared for. It is something that these guys do. Even they were doing it with Fitzpatrick. It's something that is a real strength of Tua's, and it's something that we'll practice, we'll prepare for, and we'll hope to defend it to the best of our ability. And that's